Hello, I'm James, the Grumpy Petrolhead. Owning classic cars and motorcycles, there's always a list of things to do. So let's go and have a look at our ever-growing list of workshop jobs. First thing I like to do when I'm in the workshop is to look the part. Not that I know what I'm doing, but I like to look like I know what I'm doing. This Model T has a little bit of an accessory on it, which is this little arrangement here, and it's like an oil strainer. In this oil strainer, on top of the oil strainer, what looks like some ghastly bit of old chocolate is actually a magnet. So all the oil that's flinging around inside the gearbox and the engine, any metallic metal that gets picked up will stick to this magnet. So we'll give that a clean. So the magnet's nice and clean now, ready to pick up any more bits of metal that go flying around inside the engine. Okay, that's a little job done. And every time I do a little bit of work on a car, and I'm looking at this car thinking, oh, it's a lovely day, I want to go out for a drive. But best not, because there's more to do. Here we have the mighty Jota, which I used a couple of weeks ago. Now, I'm probably going to use it in the near future again, but a couple of jobs that need doing on it. And one of the things that I do towards the end of the summer is the float bowls here. I drain all the petrol out because of the modern petrol that we have. It plays havoc, and you get kind of a horrible build up which blocks the jets. So to avoid that, I drain them. So I think I'll just do that for good practice. What's good about filming yourself doing something is that when you can't screw something back in, you can edit it and then make it look like you got it right first time. Magic. They're a 50p maybe. Before I rode the Jota last week, I bled all the brakes because they hadn't been done for a little while. The fronts was no problem. These later calipers have nice large bleed nipples on there, so that was fine. Now the rear caliper, just in here, I broke the bleed. I'll say that again. I broke the bleed nipple, and so I'm going to have to replace that. So I might do a little video next time of me attempting to make a good job of replacing that. but it's quite a difficult brake to bleed. So what I'd like to do is also take the caliper off to get the caliper higher than the master cylinder, because you can get air in this top part here. It tends to sit at the top where it can't readily escape. So if I can get that brake caliper off higher when I bleed it, I think that'll make a better job of it. And to help me with the brake nipple, I happen to have some spare calipers, and they have good condition bleed nipples on there. So I'll just borrow one off those. I'll give that a good old clean, make sure it's in good condition. But these ones are the diameter's smaller on these, so they're actually quite easy to snap if they haven't been moved for a while. And what I do periodically, every few years, is I just tweak them a little bit. I just turn them a little bit so they don't seize inside. Although this is steel, the caliper itself is aluminium. It's not a disaster if you strip one, because you can just re-tap a new thread in there, put a helicoil in there. But to do that, you have to take the caliper off completely, totally bleed the system, because you don't want any little bits of metal getting in there. Well, that's all part of maintaining old motorcycles. Having a few cars and motorbikes, I found what's been very helpful is solar panels to charge the batteries. So you have one here for the Model T. Got another one up here that I alternate between the two cars. And I have another one down there, which I use for the Rolls-Royce. They're not something that would charge a fully flat battery. I don't think that would work very well, but to keep them topped up and in good condition, yeah, they work good. And also I find that the batteries last a long time, easily 10 years. Most of them have a control panel here, the solar chargers that I use, and the idea is that they won't allow the batteries to overcharge. So let's see what other jobs that we need to do. Nothing on the Norton, but we'll do a little video on that in the coming months or weeks. The Triumph, really I should get some front fork gaiters, but there's no work to be doing on that. The BSA though, I'm having trouble with the brake rod. Here's the brake rod, and here's the nut on the back of the brake rod. Here, it did have a nice wing nut, but the thread is worn and the wing nut's disappeared. And this nut I found when I rode it the other day, it actually slipped a little. So that needs to be repaired. Now I'm wondering if I can make a new brake rod. I can find some steel of the right diameter. I can cut a thread on there and figure out how it fits on under here. You may have noticed this rather handsome beast here. This is a 1978 Moto Guzzi Le Mans, or Moto Guzzi Le Mans Mark 1. Well, it's actually a Mark 2 Mark 1. But we'll do a little video on that, and I'm really looking forward to it because that is a terrific bike. Looking in the shed, we've got some more bikes. This is some upcoming videos we'll be looking at. This is a 1979 Ducati SSD Cafe Racer, and the premise of the video on that one is pretty much going to be, can I still ride it? But that's all fully serviced, there's nothing to do, it's all ready to go. All I do is I just keep the battery charged. So that's all in good condition. Hopefully it's not too dark in here. There's another bike we're going to be looking at, a 1940 matchless, a 1940 matchless 350. That is a very fun little bike, that one. I really enjoy riding that, and I'm looking forward to doing a little video on that as well. Doing these videos is actually a great excuse to get the bikes out and well, just use them really. But there's no work to be done on that bike apart from general maintenance. Oh, now this is a 1940s Rudge bicycle, and I'd like to get that back on the road. It's got a nice little story about that bicycle, and yeah, I'm quite looking forward to going out and about on that, but it's not going to be this year. But I will get it going, and I will get it so I can ride around the village on it. I think that would be quite special. When you come across a problem and you're not quite sure how to resolve it, what you need is a pipe. So you can sit there puffing your pipe and you'll find that all these great ideas come to you. It's like magic. If anyone's seen our previous video on this 1920s car, you'll know that we have a problem with the exhaust manifold. It's blowing a little bit and I'm not exactly sure where. So I've come up with a little plan to try and find out exactly where the leak is coming from. More on that shortly. Got to go through a few procedures to start this car. One of them is turning the battery on. Okay, we've got a stuck choke. This is a typical of an old car. I was going to pull the choke out, but it's stuck. So we'll cut while I put some oil on it. Okay, so a bit of WD-40 later, we can now turn the choke on. Ignition on. I can't remember which way there's the throttle and the timing. Retard the ignition, close the throttle so it sucks loads of air and fuel in. Make sure we're in neutral. Let's go. With a sticky clutch. Now, here's my little plan. Should it work or not? Somewhere around here, or somewhere under here, I can hear a leak from the exhaust. And I can't pinpoint where it is. So, my madcap idea is this little bit of thin cardboard. So I'm going to try and push it in and feel for the leak. Now my plan seems to have worked. Sorry about the cacophony of noise. Look at this. With my magic little bit of paper or cardboard, I actually burnt the end. I could actually feel it as I went round with this. I could feel the vibration through it at a particular point, and that particular point is at the very back of this stud here. Well, it's pretty clear what the problem is. I've got a blowing exhaust manifold gasket in one little particular place. Now, the dilemma is this. In about 3.5 months, we're going on a vintage car rally. In fact, we're going on a rally run by what's called the Standard Register, which is for pre-1930 standards. Now, I'm thinking if I try and take that apart, I'm going to break all the studs, get myself into a bit of bother. So what I think I need to do is first find out whether I can get a gasket. If a gasket isn't readily available, I can simply make a pattern and have one made. But also the stud may snap off and I may have to drill it out and I may have to make a new stud or replace the stud. And I'm wondering if I'm going to get that done in time for the rally. So that's my dilemma. Now, I don't know if there's a way of bodging it, really. If I can get a little bit of exhaust paste, but I don't think the exhaust paste is going to work. I think it's going to get too hard and brittle. I have successfully used that sort of, that metal that you mix. I forget what it's called now, but that's worked pretty well. But I guess I've got nothing to lose by trying it. So there's a couple of options there. What do you think? Well, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, just fix it, do it properly, and risk it. See if I can get it done before the rally. Yeah. Well, I hope that's given you some idea of what's involved in looking after these cars and motorcycles. So stick around, and hopefully we'll catch you next time. Cheerio.